Now we're going to work on setting up the part. Last time we set up the tools. We in our tool library in the machine, we've got the difference between our reference tool and all of our spotting tool. And we're using a drill bit, and we'll be using a 3/8 end mill. So we're going to show in this video is how to set up the part. In this one, we're going to tell the machine where the reference surfaces are on this part. So let's start off with the edge finder. We have it in this thing. We did our save. We set all these things up, saved them. If you hit the escape key, it works like a backup key to back. You know, go backwards on the menus. So we're back to our home menu. Again, I'll say save, and I'm sorry, should have said set up, set up, and I'm going to set up the part. If you notice that the part is the first thing and the tool is the second thing, and why is that? Well, we set up the tool first, right? But when we're doing multiple parts, we're using the same tool. We don't have to use this anymore, so we'll just be using the part to set up each one of those parts that we would be machining. Anyway, that's the logic there. Anyway, I'll hit F1, and we can select which axis we're going to work from and what direction. For instance, next axis is 1. This is the x-axis. You can see y-axis. Next one will be z-axis, and then we're back to x. Now we can also, by moving the cursor over here, we can tell it with the space bar. We're going to go either on the center. We can approach it from the right-hand side of the part with our edge finder, or we can go from this side. Now, there's an arrow I put right here. This is going to be the 0, 0 corner of our part. And one of the tools we have is the edge finder. This edge finder is 200 mils in diameter. If you look up here, in this portion, this is set to 200 mils. Yeah, this is set to 200 mils. That's the diameter of our edge finder, because our machine is going to automatically calculate for the offset due to the diameter or the radius, I guess you say, of the edge finder. Yeah, there's our 0 corner. So I'll mount this in there. And we need to move it into position. And we'll move it back. I'll put it about right there. X. Let's move it over there. I want to be off the part. Now I'm going to lower it, the edge finder, until it's about where you want it. People have operated milling machines before, very familiar with this particular operation. Move in closer. I should be able to get that edge pretty good. Now obviously this has to be spinning in order for the edge finder to work, right? So to do that, put up in the spindle control, put the spindle to manual, and turn it on. It's going to go real slow at first. You hit 100%. 100% in our particular case here is 900 RPM. You can see the plus 900 RPM. The plus means it's going clockwise, and the 900 is the RPM. So probably with the edge finder we want to be a little faster. So I'm going to crank it up. That's 1500 RPM. It'll react a little better that way. Now, as you would on the Bridgeport machine or whatever, you would slowly move this on the x-axis toward the part until it pops over. So I'm going to do that. I've got it on the ×10 because I want to be very gentle when I do this. And when I touch, it'll pop over. There we go. It just touches. Okay, that right there at that location is the edge of that part. So I'm going to say set, use F10 to set. And notice the X goes to minus 0.1. I'll turn this off. It's at 0.1 because of the radius of the edge finder is 0.1 inches. So you don't have to, like on a Bridgeport, you don't have to go zero out and then go over a tenth of an inch and zero out again. This thing figures it out for you. So make sure you raise that up. Okay. And we're going to move the, next will be our Y. So I'm going to push the F1 key, do Y. And we don't want to do it from the front, we want to do it from the back, don't we? So we'll come, use the cursor keys, approach from front. No, we're going to approach from the back. So space bar, back. All right. So I'll move this into position. And move it off the part like we need. Oops, this way. Now bring it down. Okay, now let's start up the machine again. And again, the Y times 10 here, so I've got a lot of control. And there we go. And this, right there, that'll be good. I'll turn it off. All right, F10 and set that. So now we've got X and Y set, the Y, see, 0.1. We've moved over on the X, apparently 1.11 inches to pick up this other surface. Anyway, carefully now. Bring it up off the part. Now, what the next axis is going to be the Z-axis. And what do we want to measure this with? We're going to measure it with our reference tool. So I'll remove this edge finder, put our reference tool in, come back from our last time. All right, and I'm going to bring it over the part. Let's see, let me bring it down a bit. And I'll place it over the part at somewhere that I like. It doesn't matter, wherever you're comfortable with. Now, let me raise this up. So now I'm going to use this again. Now remember that this distance, when this is at 0, is exactly 2 inches above this surface. So I'm going to say part position, I'm going to say 2. This is very important to tell it that. What I'm going to do is reference whatever distance this is as a 0 for the reference tool, and all of the other parts order. So if I were to leave that at 0 and measure it, all things, it would be doing everything at this height. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not going to cause a crash because you're going to be up here, and sometimes that might actually be handy if you want to do what they call an air cut. But right now we're going to set that, we know that's 2 inches, we'll set this to 2 inches, and I'll bring that down like we always do, and bring that to 0. And at this point, I would say set, F10. And that sets the part 0. Now, there may be times for some reason or another you don't want to use this, but that's okay. We could use the same trick we use on the milling machine. Yeah, there may be times when, if you have a particularly rough surface or a tiny surface or a little ledge or something, you can't really use this particular part to pick up this area. You might have to pick it up directly, and you can do that using the paper trick. Now let's measure this piece of paper. This is a little thicker. This is about 4/1000ths of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'll put in here 0.004, enter. And I'll put this here. It's a good thing this has magnets on it because it makes it much easier to do. But I'll put this on the 0.1, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down until it pinches. Yeah, I can feel it. It's right now. It's okay. So I'm going to say that is where we're at. So this point on the ZREF is exactly, hopefully, 0.004 inches, 4/1000 of an inch above. So now I can hit set, and it zeroes out. So either way, you can use. This is easier, I think. And probably a little bit more precise than using the paper, but sometimes you have to do that. At this point, we're all ready to load our tools and run the job. I'll bring this back off of here. And that's about it for, so we, in the previous video we set the tools. In this video we set the part. We should be okay. Next video we'll show you actually how to an operation and what we do to start an operation and make sure we're safe. Thanks.